How we find out? I would love to know, which tribe did they come from? What was her name?
Yeah. Identity.
Am I sitting with my relative right now?
I know.
Need to understand a few things, you know? I know that my dad was not looking forward to any of his daughters marrying a Nigerian. Or he used to say African. Oh, it made me nearly cry. Am I sitting, are we from the same stab?
Yeah.
How can I know?
How can we know? Lisa Fellows, you're talking to, I call her Pastor Lisa. She lives in Germany. She's from UK.
Yeah.
She identifies as what she says. I don't want to identify her now.
That's okay.
It's a very lovely story, and I just can't wait to hear more on how this unfolds. Welcome to that inspiring episode on the Visa platform, and this is your girl Betty Osei-Buntu here, where fashion, values, and environment comes to life. Today, I'm in the studio with an amazing woman. We want to have a casual conversation. Myself, I don't even know what conversation we're going to have, but it's going to start somewhere. It's lovely to have you, Lisa.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to talk to you, Betty. Always, always.
From the beginning, you were talking about my dress.
Yes.
How do you say it?
Well, I think it's amazing. It's amazing. I'll just say the African culture, the clothes, they have such a strong, majestic look.
Yeah.
Really, you know, when people walk in dressed this way, it just looks majestic. And I was talking about the head wrap, wasn't I?
Yeah, you were.
The head wrap, because I'm so amazed that they stay on.
They stay on. The head wrap, how does it stay on?
They stay on.
I have to wrap it on your head to see how it goes.
Oh, okay. This is good.
Try it.
Help. But, you know, because there are some which are really extravagant.
Yeah.
You know, amazing. And it's like an art.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I do wonder. It's beautiful, though. I enjoy it.
Okay, thank you so much for that.
Yeah.
I'm sure right now the viewers would want to know you. You spoke about Africa.
Yes.
When someone sees you, immediately they say you're an African, but I don't know if you identify as one. So who are you?
Wow. Well, I'm going to address what you said. When people see me, they think I'm an African living in Germany, where they are not so, I'll say, gently educated about Black culture.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that I am fully educated, but I think I know a little bit more.
Okay.
I have been called Brazilian, I have been called African, I have been called American. Everybody thinks I'm American. What American is? Tell me, please.
I know.
Tell me what it is. So, how do I identify? First and foremost, I identify as a child of God.
Okay.
Okay, but in natural terms, I'm obviously Black, a woman of color.
Yeah.
I made it my business to find out, okay, where does the roots of my Black culture come from?
Okay.
Because growing up in England, in a Caribbean household, you receive the culture of your parents from the Caribbean.
That's true.
So we grew up in the Jamaican culture. Wataguan, you know, with rice and peas, ackee and salt fish, and you know, it's beautiful. I love it, but there's still like this question mark, and I don't know how many other West Indians feel that way, but I've always been curious.
Wow.
It always seemed to me like there's, you know, we're taking on an identity that's not really ours.
Wow, 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 wow.
You know, I'm British on the other side, and I do have British ancestors. But you're brought up in British, you're Black British. But then you're Black Caribbean British. So basically, you're everything that people are telling you you are.
You are, oh.
So I was always curious. So I can't tell you that I have identified over the years as African. We're having a real conversation. I did not.
Okay.
Growing up, I did not. If you're Jamaican, then you are not African. And if you tell a Jamaican person you're African, they will give you the look. Yeah, we're being real. We're being real.
Yeah.
Because of the colonization, because of people losing touch with who they are at all.
That's true.
Now, the identification is I am Jamaican, I am Grenadian, I am American. That's funny. Anyway, I don't think there are any really Americans in America. But anyway, so I did identify as Black British, Caribbean British, Jamaican British.
Okay. Wow.
Until a couple of years ago.
Oh, I want to hear more of that. But before you tell us about a couple of years ago, you were born in UK.
I was.
What is your full name?
Lisa May Shaw. That was my maiden name. Sorry, I'm now married. Yeah, I'm married.
Okay, Lisa
May Shaw. I was
born in the UK. You stayed there for how long?
I lived in the UK until I was 26 years old.
Wow.
Actually, no, 27. I got married when I was 26 to my German husband.
Okay.
And then we moved in the March after our wedding. Okay. I was 27 then to Germany.
Okay. You know, there's this issue of identity and the problem of root. When someone says, okay, I was given birth to here, most of the time, the person claims that particular location. Now, back to your story of what happens next.
Okay.
Do you want to share more about that?
I will share more because I think it's important for people to know their heritage.
Yeah.
You know, as a Christian, you have an heritage, as a Christian, but naturally speaking, it's really important just to know where did you come from? What was your family heritage story? And so actually, it wasn't until a couple of years ago that it started to become more interesting to me. Why? Because of living in Germany, being asked over and over and over again, where do you come from?
Where do you come from?
I'm from England, Britain. Yes, but where do you come from? And then I had to explain Jamaican, colony, 50s, everyone came over, Black British, then Jamaica became independent, then I remained British, you got naturalized British, and it just became so ridiculous that I actually wanted to know. I'd learned stories about the British heritage from my mother.
Okay.
And because in Jamaica, there were many British Jamaicans, or people who came over to own slaves and to work. And many of them found themselves in relationships with Black women.
Yeah.
Some love relationships, some just, they should just take the women. So my mom tried to convince me that my great-grandfather was in love with my grandmother.
Okay. Convinced.
Yeah, I say that now because I found out she was 14 years old when she had my grandmother. So I didn't know how much love is involved. She was 14 and he must have been about 21, 22. I did my investigations on my heritage, found the certificates, information, 1 and 1 made 2. You know? So I got curious. So there was this like my heritage boom. There was this like ancestry boom. Everybody was finding out what their DNA was.
Yeah.
So someone contacted me, a distant cousin, said, would you, for my heritage? I thought, I'll try. And So I was interested to find out, okay, where is my African roots? Because my blackness did not come from Europe. Right?
Melanin, the
Wow.
sun.
Wow. Unless there's something in history we don't know about. And,
Okay.
so I don't know. So, yeah, I did the DNA test and I was really pleased and happy to find out that I was like 22% Nigerian, 20% Ghanaian.
Wow.
And then there were small percentages from Togo, Benin, on,
Okay.
Elfenbeinkuster. They were just, little
Yeah.
percentages. And then there was like the 36% European, which I knew about.
Okay.
But it was important to me because even when you looked back and you found the birth certificates, you found the marriage certificates where you could see the people's names, you could see their signatures, you could see the birth certificates, and it became real. Then all of a sudden you started to see the cross because they couldn't sign their name. That touched me deep when I started to see person's signature, a cross.
Wow.
Yeah, no name, just a mark. They called it the mark, your mark. Because the slaves of that time were not allowed to learn to read or to write, which is really a contradiction, really, because they had their own language that they could write, and they had their own language that they could speak or communicate in. So, you know what I'm saying. They were not allowed to learn the language of the country they were enslaved in, basically. So yeah, when I found that out, I was singing it from every mountaintop. Because it changes when you know. So I can identify. Then I start to look at Ghanaians. And then I started to look at Nigerians.
Okay.
Yeah. And then of course you're curious because you can tell that, like a place like Jamaica, that all the is cross culture. Spanish, Chinese, British, African. Then you have the Arawak Indians, the original people that lived in Jamaica. Well, they were Indians, red Indians. So you got all this culture together. And sometimes I think, well, when I taste that food, I'm going to go to the food straight away. It's the best of everything in that food. No, but the culture tends to come very strongly through the food.
Yeah.
And my mother told me the dancing as well.
Wow.
I asked her, I used to ask her questions. And what do you remember, Mum? Did you speak the language? No, wasn't allowed. Slaves were not allowed to speak their native language. So you don't know any of the language from Granny Queen. That's what her name was, Granny Queen. Queen Charlotte. She was named after the Queen of England. What her original name is, we will never know unless somehow we find out. I would love to know, which tribe did they come from? What was her name?
Yeah. Identity.
Am I sitting with my relative right now?
I know.
Oh, it made me nearly cry. Am I sitting? Are we from the same stam?
Yeah.
How can I know?
How can we know? Lisa Fellows, you're talking to, I call her Pastor Lisa. She lives in Germany. She's from UK. Yeah. She identifies as what she says. I don't want to identify her now.
That's okay.
It's a very lovely story, and I just can't wait to hear more on how this unfolds.
Let me say it like this, so that you can have a flow.
Okay.
When I think of how the culture has developed, I often wonder why there is such a feud and friction between Jamaicans and Nigerians. It's a well-known fact. Whether anybody wants to admit it or not, I'm telling the truth. I grew up with it.
Oh, wow.
I grew up with it. I will say one thing about what the colonization did in Jamaica. If you had lighter colored skin, you were welcomed into the master's house.
Wow.
You were the house slave because you had lighter colored skin. And so automatically lighter colored skin was an elevation.
Ooh.
I'm using that word on purpose, right? Literally, like you get in the elevator and you can go up, right? The light of the skin. And sadly, that has made its way through the generations.
Yes.
If someone was getting married and to someone, and the husband or the man, because the daughters were always, everyone was so protective of the daughters, had a certain shade, there would be something said about the darkness of the man.
That's true.
And I don't know if it happens in Africa too.
Yeah, it does. Because that's why we are bleaching our skins.
Oh, isn't that awful?
It is.
It's awful. That's a nicer version of what I really want to say.
Yeah.
Because it's like a few brain cells went for a walk. Because really, seriously, why can't everyone just embrace the beautiful
Who they are.
person they are? Who decided, okay, this shade is better, and this shade is worse? So, in the Jamaican culture, it's very strong about the color. Sometimes you might have suffered as a child. Some people have had complexes afterwards. I know that because I know that, right?
Oh, yeah.
But it's funny, living in Germany, I became more black conscious.
Oh my God.
I'm gonna laugh because I grew up internationally. It was never a theme for me.
Okay.
But Germans made me more aware of it. So I started to sunbathe in Germany. People say, why are you sunbathing? I said, I want it. And I said, I look better, my skin is even. And there was one summer I was really seeing how far I could go. And other people, maybe, let me give an example. In some other cultures, maybe some Indian cultures, they would hide from the sun.
Okay.
Because they don't want to get too dark.
Too dark.
And then people were looking at me like I'm some kind of crazy because they couldn't. I said, why does she want to be darker? I said, why not?
Yeah.
There's a lot of things which just form people's, a person's identity and their values.
That's true.
Right?
Yeah.
Socialization can be very detrimental, or it can be an absolute encouragement for a person to embrace their culture.
Wow. So when you found out about your identity, partially Nigerian, partially Ghanaian, and the other side of you, how did this make you feel?
Good. Because for the first time I knew this is where I come from.
Okay.
The whole slavery story is horrible in itself. Of a whole group of people, a whole generation of people surviving ships, surviving the worst conditions, and then their identities being taken away. It wasn't just their freedom, their whole identity was taken away. So to find it as being an offspring of those generations is something very special for me.
Special.
I know. I'm just really curious if it's at all possible. I would love to know the name of my family. I would love to know the tribes my family came from. I would like to find out more about the culture. That's why I'm talking to you. I want to find out because we've got so many cliches and they're not all good ones.
Yeah. And most of the time we refer to, let's say, the black in the diaspora as diasporans. But we never got to appreciate you people that way.
Yeah, exactly.
I never got to appreciate diasporans that they went through worse. We are complaining, but we are in the continent. We did not go. Now imagine those people who have went and their identity has been lost, and they start claiming what what they are claiming, people see them and say, ask them, are you really that?
Yeah.
I think it's something.
Yeah. The identity
It's a
was
huge challenge. It was a huge challenge.
Yeah, the identity was stolen. And then you may encounter Africans who are 100% black. You know what I mean by that?
Yes.
There's no mix in their DNA.
Cross culture.
Cross culture, but cross DNA.
Yeah. Okay.
Come on, let's say it.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
Women were taken by the master and they were breeded. And not only that, the slaves were breeded. They didn't have to, nothing about falling in love. They were like cattle.
Wow.
So when you think about that, these people overcame that. And generations. And then you encounter full-blooded Africans today. And it would be maybe like, who are you? You know? Who are you? I know that because I had this experience over and over again. You're not viewed as real black.
You're also not viewed as
and who are you?
British.
Yeah, not British anyway. But who are you? No, who are you? And I think, well, I'm the offspring of who survived on the ship, and maybe some raped women. I don't know, but we survived.
Yeah. I love that. Talking about survival now, how have you grown in this? What has kept you going? How have you embraced the society? How have you ignored the society?
I'm on a mission. It's funny. Years ago in Germany, I was like really suffering because the ignorance. The ignorance wasn't like I didn't want to go back in time, and it was a lot of ignorance.
That's true.
But don't get me eyes to see people in a different way, in need of education. I realized you're a pioneer. So now I see it this way, that every interaction I have with a European here in this country, I'm introducing them to something different.
Okay.
I'm introducing them to something international, truly international and interesting, and it opens up the conversation because they always want to know, where do you come from? Tell me your history. They find out about the British history and the colonies. They find out about a little bit, as far as I know, of the little bit of the African heritage that I have. But then they realize, people have that color skin because they all stem from Africa. Yes. Not from America. And so I find it's educational. I'm not in survival mode.
Okay.
I was never really in survival mode. It was more of an identity journey.
Okay.
Yeah. Coming to Germany really
put the spotlight.
Yeah, put the spotlight. It challenged me. It challenged me. Yeah, it challenged me. It made me aware of things that I'd taken for granted. So, I suppose I'm an educator. It sounds like, I'm an educator.
Whenever I tell the story of the first time I came to Germany, and I struggled to request for help on the street.
Yeah.
Like I'm going somewhere and I want to ask someone, please, can you help me? And people just look at you and pass. That was not enough. I was sitting in the bus, someone is sitting down, I go and sit close to the person, and the person stands up and just stand. At a point I go home and I cry. I didn't know why I did that. But then one day we were having some cultural workshop exchange, and it was time for us to voice out how we were feeling and everything. And I said it. And all the blacks in the room started voicing up and saying, I also face this. Sometimes they hit me on the road, and I started tearing up again. But that workshop really told me something. It said, united we stand.
Yeah.
And if you're able to come out as one person, you teach the rest to come out and speak out.
Yeah.
And I realized that I was not the only one facing that. Other people are also going through it. So it's just nothing, just ignore. And another friend of mine said, ignore them, just ignore them. And I feel that survival mode you're talking about really talks about this, even if you're not there, but the stretch you felt and how you've kept on pressing.
Yeah.
I think that is what it needs.
And recognizing that you're a pioneer. You may be the first Black person that someone has a relationship with. What I've found is so important to integrate. It's so important to talk with people. People have questions.
That's true.
People have questions. People are fearful. They're fearful of different. But when they see, wow, this person is willing to have a chat with me. Oh, they're nice. Or you're human. I've had experiences that just left me shaking my head. Standing at a till in the DIY shop, waiting in the queue. There's a man and his wife behind me. So I'm with the cashier waiting to pay. They don't realize I can speak German. So, or maybe he did. That would be bad. He says, he was saying something. He goes, and his wife said to him, I couldn't hear what he was saying. His wife said to him, stop it.
Okay.
And he said, no, they're not human. Those people are not human.
Oh no, I just didn't hear that.
At that moment, I just braced myself. Thank God I have great faith in him. So I just braced myself. And in that moment, it was clear to me how you react could mean the difference between that person even coming a little step closer to coming out of this mindset. Or I could just give him what he wants and be totally upset, devastated, intimidated. No. There's one thing I've never allowed to take hold of me here, that's intimidation.
Yeah.
I come from a multicultural society, and so I want to have a conversation on eye level with you. I want to know who you are, and I wasn't interested in what color you were. You're a human being. I want to talk to you.
That's true.
And then people look at you like, how can you talk to me? You know, they kind of and then it clicks. As I said, I've become more aware.
Okay.
So now you have to, with humility.
Okay.
I had to learn that. I got upset at the beginning. I tell you, I thought I could love everybody. I thought I could. He was so neat. I found out that I was able to feel and develop. So it was a journey. Okay. And I became more humble. Thinking about their side of things. Okay. Their ignorance. Where should they have learned anything? What did their parents tell them? What were they taught in school when they sat down and learned the Darwin theory and that people are somewhere down the bottom in the line? Because that's what they were teaching in Germany for years. Okay. The Darwin theory. And you saw this ape then standing up, and then that was the black man. In the schools, they were teaching that. Wow. So people had this set idea that, this is where black people are on the scale. Okay. Of supremacy. Wow. So he comes from a white suprematic background, and we know where that came with us. Wow. But we're here, I always say to any person of color, whether it's African, Indian, whatever, you're a pioneer. You are a pioneer. You're a pioneer. Do it well. Rise to the occasion. Yeah. Rise to the occasion. Do it well. Okay.
Talking about doing it well and rising, how should society evolve to move away from this kind of identity crisis?
Identity crisis. Well, they need to include it in their school curriculum. First time fetish. that right from kindergarten. Okay. Right from kindergarten. Introduce it into the curriculum. Have international stories. Have colorful people in the books. Open up the child's understanding to the world. Starts in the educational system. And then you want to move on from there in workshops. You can have community workshops for young people, which are dedicated to integrating the cultures, educating the cultures. There's no ignorance to break down the walls of fear. People are fearful. And that's where the problem starts. They're fearful of something different. So bring it into the education system. Have your workshops. Have your,
Yeah.
with it, especially like in music and creativity. Wow, in the arts.
You blend.
Wow, there is such a wide spectrum of what you could do with the arts, and it's educational. The entertainment business are not doing too much of a bad job in that, but up until that point, people are already too ignorant. There's just like, I'm going to gospel concerts. Oh, look how the Africans are dancing. Like, do you want a piece of bread? This is bread. Bread, And you think I'm joking? I have experienced this.
Oh my God.
I have experienced this. I thought, okay, there needs to be an educational barrage area.
Wow.
Educational system. Start with the kids. They're tomorrow. They're the next generation.
That's true. What a story. What a story. Wow, identity. I wish I can keep this interview going forever.
I know.
But maybe just one last question for you.
Yes.
And that would be, I know you did not grow up in Africa, but you have a little identity crisis when it comes to Africa.
Yeah.
This is the question we always ask everyone on the Visa platform, and that is, what kind of Africa would you like to see? Maybe you can globalize this kind of Africa.
I can tell you what
kind of Africa would you like to
you
see?
asked me that question?
Yes, I did.
From what I see, I want to see a unified Africa.
Okay.
I want to see an Africa that's liberated, that take, not revolution, but an Africa who know who they are, truly know who they are, because an Africa that looks after Africa. Oh, you asked me a question?
Yeah.
There should not be any poverty in Africa.
That's true.
Africa is a rich country. Africa is a country of kings and queens.
Sure.
Rich people, strong people, leaders. This is what I see. And I won't go to the Bible, but what I see, I see that because of history, colonization, of the globalization, which was, I'm going to be brave and say, which was white supremacy.
Okay.
It was. Hi.
Hello.
How can you go to a country and say you discovered it when it existed already? Come on. I love these Europeans. I love people, but let's talk real.
Yeah.
I really, truly would like to see an Africa that is Africa again.
Okay. Wow. In Africa, that is Africa again.
Is overall, you're so much brighter than a million suns all together. Savior, Redeemer, Lord, hallelujah. You're the name above all names. We rise and sing your praise. We sing holy, worthy is the Lord. Do you have any final words to the audience? I'm sure they want to hear a lot more from you.
Really? I can preach. I can't help it. We only have one God, and He created one people.
Yeah.
Let's even whether you know Him or not, still let's treat each other with honor.
That's true.
Honor and respect. Respect diversity. Because it's edifying. We'll grow together.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Pastor Lisa.
I love you.
Dear Mr. Fellows, this was an interview with Pastor Lisa talking about the identity story. It was an interesting one, and I can't wait to hear what you think about the story. It is your one and only host on the Visa platform, Betty Osei-Bonsu. Don't forget to be inspired with stories from Africa.
I hope you are inspired, because we are. Stay tuned and don't forget to subscribe to all our social media channels. It's displayed on the screen, and don't forget to press that notification bell to receive updates when they come by.
It's Visa. Visa with the time. Visa Africa. It's Visa. It's Visa. It's Visa. Visa with the time Africa. It's Visa.
Or they're like Africans. You know, Jamaicans and Africans, you know, there's a little bit of a friction there.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Jamaican and Nigerian?
No? Okay, the story is getting interesting.
No, I have to be careful what I say.
I know.
I have to be careful what I say.
Sit on the head and everything is fine.
But if you